Well, guys, the stock market is rebounding today. I'm going to give you some reasons as to why. It has a lot to do with Super Tuesday. Also, Warren Buffett has been making some questionable calls. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that, and then I also want to hear from you. And lastly, Tesla has unveiled its Model 3 track mode, and it's pretty freaking awesome. Not only that, but yet another analyst predicts a very bullish move from this incredible stock, despite the stock market being all crazy and wonky and everything else. All that and more coming up. Yes, guys. So again, another great day in the stock market. It's been all over the place, right? Super volatile, a lot of uncertainty regarding the beer bug. We'll just call it that, because YouTube is being YouTube. And, we'll talk about Warren Buffett. He's been making some questionable calls here. And maybe I'm the crazy one to be questioning Warren Buffett because he's got a lot more money than I do. But I am a little bit worried about why you would be investing in these specific stocks that he's investing in this early. And then we'll also talk about Tesla and how the Super Tuesday outcome has affected the stock market and how you should be looking at certain sectors as this affects healthcare and even marijuana stocks in general, as Joe Biden continues to take over the favorited Bernie Sanders as a Democratic candidate for the President of the United States. But before I do all that, I just want to welcome you to this channel. Hi, my name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The stock market is a crazy and chaotic place, and I've made it my mission to help you own it. So if you want to see more content like this and get a good head start on any of your investments or day trading in general, please consider subscribing to this channel, hitting that notification bell, and giving me a good thumbs up if you get any value out of this video. All right, so on to today's topic. So Warren Buffett has invested another 1 million shares into Delta Airlines, which increases his position size to about 71.9 million shares. That is a ton of money that I can't even wrap my head around. But nevertheless, 1 million shares, let's just do the math here. 1 million shares at the average in which he took his position was valued around $45.3 million. That's an unbelievable number for 1 million shares of Delta. Like I said, I can't wrap my head around that. And really, on the surface, this makes a lot of sense, right? Delta has crashed 20% along with a lot of the other stocks in the whole stock market. And I've been telling you guys, my viewers, that this would be a good time to consider buying into some stocks. And I gave you a few that may be a good idea to consider getting into. But a stock like Delta would probably be the last thing that I would be looking to investing, at least at this point in time, because I don't think any of those travel stocks are at the bottom just yet. And the reason for this being is because of the ties that it has to the Ramona Billy Ray Cyrus disease and how this is affecting travel. So travel stocks such as your cruise liners, your Boeings, your Delta Airlines, your American Airlines, all of those are going to be suffering significant losses, I would think, in not just the near future, but also a little bit longer term, as people are still fearful of traveling. And so this will impact the stock a little bit longer than the rest of them at this point in time. And so while the rest of the stock market may continue to go up, these are the last stocks that I would consider investing into, at least right now. I don't think the bottom's yet in for these, and I'll be curious to see how this all plays out following the Q1 reports that'll come out on American Airlines, on Delta Airlines, United, Southwest, all of those, which actually Warren Buffett is invested in, because I don't think the downward spiral for them is just yet over. Is it wrong to be investing in Delta right now or any of these airlines or travel stocks? No, but I think there's probably going to be a better time to invest in them, and I'm just not sure that it's quite just yet. In my opinion, I think Q1 reports would be very telling as to where these stocks are going, and that's when I would consider getting into some of these stocks. And maybe I'm the one that has no idea what I'm talking about. Warren Buffett, I mean, how can you question the guy, right? But there have been some questionable moves by Warren as of recently. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation revolving around Tesla and why he loves Elon Musk but can't invest in Tesla, despite the fact that Tesla checks all the boxes as far as what makes a great company, and you compare it to a lot of the other stuff that he's invested in, and Tesla, for some reason, he just can't bring himself to touch. But he'll invest in a Chinese electric car company, BYD, which really makes me scratch my head. I just don't understand. And this is no disrespect to Warren or his investing practices, but because he made a killing on BYD. But if you're going to invest in something like BYD, why is Tesla being left out, especially with the amount of growth that we've experienced from this and a lot of the fundamentals that are going on with Tesla. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And everybody's been questioning his recent investment in Kroger. Don't know why that one all of a sudden decided to look good to him. And really, anytime he was asked about it, he couldn't give a straight answer about it either. Now, again, this isn't me trying to be disrespectful whatsoever. I think that Warren Buffett obviously knows what he's doing, but it's just one of those things where it just makes you scratch your head. Why are you investing in things such as BYD, but won't go into Tesla, and then going into Kroger, and then buying Delta this early? Because I still think that Delta has a long way down to come just yet. And, maybe there's something that he knows that I don't. Again, he's got way more experience than I do, but it just makes me scratch my head. But we'll see who turns out on the right side of this thing. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below as I respond to all of them. So make sure that you're doing that, and I would love to hear from you. So moving on to why the stock market is doing so well today, specifically in the healthcare sector. Vice President Joe Biden has reinvigorated his campaign with crushing it on Super Tuesday, despite Bernie Sanders being the favorite going into it and also winning California. Joe Biden has still come out ahead, and this has done wonders for the healthcare sector. Probably not going to do so much for the weed sector, though, the cannabis sector. And the reason for this is because Bernie Sanders really had it out for the healthcare sector and really for those of us who like to trade on Wall Street as well. So that could be another reason why the stock market is doing so well. If we take a look here, as of this recording, it sent healthcare stocks soaring, with United Healthcare being the leader of the pack there, up over $30 from its closing yesterday. Humana's up 13.5%. Cigna is also up 10% here. So the healthcare sector is doing fantastic today. In my opinion, as long as Joe Biden continues to win, these healthcare stocks should continue to run, but I wouldn't hold on to them forever. We're still in panic mode as far as, the Fed cutting rates and the economy being into question here. The stock market's all over the place. So while I think that they may continue to run as long as Biden continues to win, I would keep everything on a short leash at this point, especially as it relates to the healthcare sector, because you just never know. Bernie Sanders could end up running away with it. There's just a lot of questions here that have yet to have been answered. By some chance, if Bernie pulls ahead of this thing and actually wins the candidacy, it could spell a lot of trouble for healthcare sector and how that's going to be impacted. Sanders' proposal is to give everyone Medicare, which would destroy the private insurers and drug makers, cover services without premiums, deductibles, copays, or unexpected pharma bills. Not only that, but his plan is to have people like you and I who invest in the stock market pay for that. Now, if you guys have been paying attention to the campaign, he also says that he's going to be taxing the rich as well, but he didn't leave out anybody, the people that you and me who are retail traders within the stock market. We're going to potentially experience heavy taxes and that sort of thing. So it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you lie on or who you're for or against. Those are just the facts. And my opinion is that if Bernie Sanders ends up pulling ahead for some reason, the healthcare sector is going to probably take a huge tumble. Whether or not he has a really good chance of beating Donald Trump is just going to, that all remains to be seen. But the possibility that Bernie could win would be do enough damage in that sector to cause an immense amount of selling. Having said that, Bernie stands on a platform that his first day in office, he will legalize cannabis across the board, decriminalize it, everything. So that's another sector that you should be paying attention to. If Bernie starts to lead in the polls, if he starts to win a little bit more, starts to take the lead over Joe Biden, then the cannabis sector is definitely something you're going to want to pay attention to. More importantly, I would look at your CGC. I wouldn't pay attention to any of the smaller ones just yet because their financials really aren't there. I would look at CGC. CGC is the one that actually ends up moving the entire sector anyway. So that is one that I would certainly focus on if it were me. And I'm looking at the cannabis sector, especially if Bernie Sanders starts to pull ahead. All right, so the next topic for today is going to be on Tesla. But before I do, I just want to encourage you to check out the links down in the description below. If you're interested in learning how to invest or trade in the stock market, I have a mentorship where I go live with folks every single day from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm with them all throughout the day in a private chat as well. So if you want to go check that out, you want to learn how to invest or trade in the stock market, links are below. I would love to see you there. Okay, so Tesla keeps chugging along despite the stock market going all over the place. I love the fact that it's been holding up here in the 700s after coming from a low of $611, which still is incredible considering how the rest of the market has been doing. I'm really impressed with how Tesla has been holding its gains here in the $700 range. $750 is really kind of where it likes to hold itself at this point in time. And despite economy concerns coming from the Fed as well as the stock market being all over the place, analysts are still bullish on Tesla. So just this week, investment firm Johnson Matthey, or JMP, just upgraded Tesla yet again. Analyst Joseph Osha upgraded the stock to an astounding $1,060 per share. He said that it would imply a 40% return from where it sits right now, suggests that a $198 billion market cap, which means Tesla would have sold 1.8 million units by 2025. And in my opinion, I think that's pretty conservative. When you look at the fact that they've sold 367,000 vehicles last year, they're projected to sell 500,000 vehicles this year. And despite all of the other concerns that are happening in China, I think that they actually end up crushing those numbers. And not only that, but Tesla has also created yet another revenue stream with the Tesla Model 3 track mode. And I got to say, this update's pretty incredible. Allows you to do so much with this. This is a pretty significant performance upgrade that actually, in fact, allows you to split power between the front and rear motor. So if you guys aren't aware of how the Model 3 trim line goes, the Model 3 Performance has a dual motor system. It's all-wheel drive, and power is distributed 50-50. Whereas now with the performance mode, you can shift that power to go all the way to the rear wheels or the front wheels just by the touch of a button on your infotainment center, which is pretty incredible. And in my opinion, I think this is going to be a massive, turn of events for people who are vehicle enthusiasts, such as myself. I am a car guy. I have tattoos on my body as it relates to just vehicles and being a gearhead. And this gets me excited because there has been, a lot of questions as to, well, what are we going to do about people who want to, make changes to their vehicles or add performance parts or whatever. And Tesla's finally doing that with the Model 3. For $5,500, you can upgrade your Model 3 to the track package, which is going to give you new wheels, new tires, new suspension upgrades, as well as brake upgrades. So there's bolt-on parts there, but then also the software upgrade is going to be pretty awesome as well. Imagine, you just want to go out and on the track and maybe do some drifting. You can just take all that power, shove it to the rear wheels, and just have a good old time with it, which you couldn't really do if it was all-wheel drive. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's $5,500, which isn't cheap, but it isn't really all that expensive given what you're also getting with that entire package as well. And so I think it'll be interesting once this all plays out, how they're going to be rolling out the Model Y as well as this upgrade package, how that's all going to play into their Q1 report. And I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised with Tesla that despite there being concerns about Q1 earnings from a lot of these other companies as it relates to the beer bug, I think that Tesla actually comes out on top of this and survives it quite well. So a lot of people have been asking me, is now the time to, finally invest in Tesla? And I think, yes, I think the bottom definitely came in the 600s. And I think that it only goes up from here, especially if anybody who is buying in the 800s or even in the highs in the 900s, I think that you're going to be safe as long as you can afford to wait this out. If your time horizons allow it and your risk tolerance allows it as well, I think that you'll turn out just fine with Tesla. So that's going to do it for me, folks, today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up. And if this is the first time that you're visiting this channel, I certainly would appreciate a subscribe and hitting that notification bell to get all of the latest updates and news and how I feel about the stock market and where and when you should be investing. And finally, if you're interested in getting my daily watch list, make sure you're hitting that join button on my channel as well, and you'll get all of the stocks that I'm watching first thing in the morning as part of being a member on this channel. So that's going to do it for me, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I will see you all before the bell, and B. Smith is out. That they would not be raising capital in the form of an offering or otherwise because they felt they were doing well enough that they didn't need any additional money. But then he went ahead and put out a $2 billion offering, which begs us all to question,